What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrificed my time so you don't have to. I do apologize for not having the Armageddon 99 video, which, by the way, it will be Sundays. I said Saturday. I meant to say that it's going to be Sundays for now, but I did say Armageddon was going to come out Saturday. I'll have it out later on tonight, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock later on tonight. Unfortunately, I had a horrible headache yesterday, which is, what happens when you stay up for damn near 40 hours. I stayed up the entire Thursday, and I didn't go to bed till because I went to work as soon as I got off, because I got called in on maybe 2 hours after SmackDown because someone called out. I didn't go to bed officially till 10 o'clock yesterday in the morning time, and I didn't wake up. I mean, obviously to use the bathroom and stuff and eat dinner, and even then, I had my girl bring it to me. I honestly did not wake up for real until 8 this morning. Yeah, that's what happens when you stay up for 40 hours. It gets to you, man. It gets to you. But, bro, I was damn near bedridden. Had never had a headache like that in my goddamn life. Felt like a damn migraine damn near. But I'm here now, and I'm going to have the Armageddon video out later on tonight. Don't worry. And it'll be Sundays from now on out. But while I was in the bed laying down, I was scrolling through comments, on YouTube, on wrestling forums to see what was going on with wrestling, because obviously I wasn't in any legit state to want to record anything yesterday. You know what actually caught my attention? It's not a topic in the sense that I'm seeing people are discussing it right now at the moment, but it's a generalized position with AEW right now. You see, when AEW first started, it had this aura about it as far as being different. That was the whole aesthetic behind AEW is, oh my God, this is now a legitimate alternative to WWE. How you feel about that is up to your own perspective. I've never felt that AEW was an alternative to WWE. They're just turning the volume up to 10. But that was the aesthetic behind AEW. It wasn't even necessarily oh, this is cool. Oh, this is something. It was more like an eventful type of thing. Okay, curiosity. That's the main word you want to use when discussing AEW is curiosity, right? And to see where they're at, not even 5 years. It hasn't been 5 years yet. October will make half a decade since AEW has been around. And you hear all these comments all the time about AEW, and it's oh, well, they're going to change, they changed the business, or, no wrestling company has done what they've done in a short amount of time without taking into context anything in regards to inflation, anything in regards to, television numbers or any of that stuff. It's ridiculous. It's definitely a ridiculous notion. Obviously, Tony Khan being a billionaire promoter obviously plays into, what's been going on in the wrestling company versus if anybody else had $1 billion investor. It's such a stupid, not to mention it takes advantage of the history of professional wrestling. I mean, I see people all the time say things oh, Vince McMahon was not, what did he do for WWE in his first 5 years? Well, first off, if you want to take into context what he's done in his first 5 years at WWE, WrestleMania got started in the first 5 years at WWE. So fuck all that for a minute. But also, Vince had to make his money. Vince didn't start a wrestling company as a billionaire. He was never fed a silver spoon or anything like that. His dad put him, if anything, his dad worked him about as much as he worked his other, probably even more. Vince was a man of many hats back in the WWF territory days. So he had to pay his dues before he became a promoter. I hate when people say shit like that. He was not, I repeat, he was not ever fed anything like silver spoon, none of that shit. None of that. He had to hustle. He had his car repoed, all this shit. The money that he built up in order to buy his dad's stake, in order to buy, who else? I think Gorilla Monsoon also had a stake in the company to buy him out and everything, to go buy out Georgia Championship Wrestling. All that stuff when it was headed by the Briscoe brothers, not current day, but Gerald Briscoe and his brother Jerry, what was his brother, Jerry and Jack Briscoe. He bought them out too, so he had to work for his, right? But the aesthetic that WWE didn't really gain until it became this big fucking business was that it was uncool. Nowadays, I won't even necessarily say, well, yeah, I could probably still say nowadays, because the thing is, the misconception about WWE nowadays is like, oh, it's wrestling, it's cool and shit like that. No, wrestling just has a larger market, so it's a lot easier to like make those type of perception points. And not to mention, we live in the day of the internet. If it wasn't for the internet, and if WWE was like looking strictly domestic, yeah, no one in the United States necessarily thinks WWE is cool. That's just a facade. No, don't let anyone make you believe that shit. They're fucking retarded. But AEW, though, on the other hand, never even had the chance to be considered cool. They never brought in the perception of we are cool. Like I said, they were always looked at in one type of way. Now, how you look at that is upon you, again, but generally speaking, no one has ever thought about AEW as far as it being cool. It's just another wrestling company. But over the past 4.5 years, we've now reached the point in AEW's company's history where they've now reached Bud Light territory. Now, if you're curious as to what did I mean by Bud Light territory, was it Bud Light or was it Budweiser? I think it's Budweiser, right? What is it? Bud Light or Budweiser? I think it was Bud Light. I believe it was Bud Light. Oh, yeah, because that's the whole... Yeah, that's from the memes. Yeah, it was Bud Light. And Bud Light, they did this stupid fucking commercial, right? Where it was a transgender person named Dylan Mulvaney, right? It's a guy who thinks he's a girl. You already know the yada yada shit. Don't let me get into details. I don't want YouTube coming at me with the bullshit, all right? He's a biological guy who transformed into a girl or whatever, even though he's still a guy. But I digress. My point being is, though, they just started to fucking, like, because the thing is, Bud Light and beer in general have this aura about it where it's very American, it's very manly, it's beer, you drink beer because it's a guy thing, that's always been the perception behind beer. And to have Dylan, drinking the beer, I think it was a tub or some shit like that, if I remember correctly, like some shit like that. He's like sitting in a tub and he's like fucking coping for Bud Light. It was some shit, I can't remember. But essentially they made him their mascot for their beer company. And man, it just pissed off a lot of people. Rightfully so. Again, if you have a certain identity and you go up against that identity, right up against your core market, yeah, you deserve that. We don't support that, and you support that, and you throw it directly in our face. It's not just necessarily the support type of idea. It's the fact that it kind of seems like you're being two-faced about the whole entire thing. It seems like you're betraying your core audience. Absolutely. And I wish, people like Donald Trump and his son would not chill for them, because now they're starting to show for them. No. Keep up the good work. Keep up the campaign. Fuck that shit. Fuck that beer company, bro. They turned their back on you. Fuck that shit. But I digress, though. That's a whole different story. My point being is, though, when they did that, their entire identity became a fucking meme. There were cases of beer. Just cases. I walk into a Publix, and you'll see clearance on Bud Light sitting on the pallet. You see like 3 or 4 pallets directly in the middle of the store. You'll see it directly in the front of the store as places like Winn-Dixie. People were not fucking with Bud Light, bro. Like, it now has an image, and people still ain't really fucking with Bud Light. I think I heard that they're now starting to recover a little tiny bit, but it's nowhere near close, not even remotely fucking close to where it was prior to all this. I think it was the number 1 beer in the entire company, if I'm not mistaken. And its whole identity now is locale status, right? Well, that's AEW, right? It was never really number 1. It never will be number 1. It will never attain that position with WWE still being around. But at the same time, like I said, it had a label about it. And then just over and over and over and over and over again, it kept making all of these rash decisions to never really focus on its own talent. Whether they're consistently bringing in other talents from different companies or free agents, or they're focusing on New Japan Pro Wrestling and what's going on with that with Forbidden Door and stuff, or AAA Wrestling in the same light, or they're looking at ROH and they're focusing on subsidiaries as far as having B shows along with their brand and having sister companies, or they're taking shots at WWE. I cannot remember a time when AEW solely focused on its own talent, where it solely focused on the AEW World Championship, the International Championship, the TNT Championship, TBS Championship, Tag Team Championships, and I guess now the Continental Championship. This is all within a 5-year thing. So not only when they do get the opportunity to focus on their company, it has to be a bunch of gimmicks or type of things tied within it in order to get people to focus on it. And it's like, no one necessarily ever gave a shit about AEW because AEW never gave you a reason to want to give a shit about AEW, right? So on the offset, it was always going to be a failure with that mentality taking place. It's like you're doing so many things as far as being an E-Fed that you're not really truly focusing on the actual company in itself. And then not to take into context or take away from the attention of Dynamite, looking at other startup promotions within there or brands or whatever, like Collision and then Rampage at the time, Dark and Dark Elevation. Nothing was truly focused on AEW in itself outside of all the other things that surrounded AEW. And then you get to a point where it makes it low cow status, because you see all these people saying things like I said, I'm never going to sit here and say that AEW, or at least justify the whole AEW, they've done so much in 5 years. No, it's stupid. It's fucking dumb. They're living off of the corpse of professional wrestling. They're just like fucking maggots. They're worms. They're feasting off of the dead corpse of professional wrestling. And it's a startup company from a billionaire. Why the fuck would I give props to any of that? That's stupid. You didn't start it from the bottom. You started at the top because professional wrestling and the water raised you to the top. And then you're a billionaire on top of that in order to use it to conduct and create your infrastructure. That's bullshit. I'll never give them that credit. But now we've reached the point now where the actual company in itself, which already was looking more and more like it was going to be destined to be uncool because of everything that they're aligned with, it's now looked at as being pure, unadulterated fucking cringe. When I was looking through these comments on most of these videos, on most of these articles talking about Dynasty, which by the way is next Sunday, I know a lot of people forgot about that because of all the stuff that's been going on. Yeah, they've done such a good job about Dynasty. No one is even talking about Dynasty. I got people even saying in the comment section, one, no, if you're not talking about Dynasty, it's because you forgot about it. And two, if you are talking about Dynasty, I got people asking me if I'm going to review Dynasty on Saturday. They're asking me if I'm going to review Dynasty on Saturday. It's Sunday. It's next Sunday. It's not Saturday. It's next Sunday. Yeah, that's how bad it's gotten. That's how bad this company is when it comes to even promoting their own shows, because they're so busy about everything else. And like I said, we've now reached the point where it's now considered cringe. I go through these comments and I'm seeing people, whenever they're talking about, for an example, because I heard that Collision last night announced that it's gonna be a ladder match in the Young Bucks match versus the Revival or FTR, and people were like making memes out of the match. They were saying no one gives a fuck about Dynasty. Everybody was saying, oh, you're trying to make everybody forget about the video and all that shit. And it's like what? Why would you do that? And then your EVPs on top of that. So it's like you're deleting videos online of people reposting the fucking footage that you yourself put out there, and now you're probably starting to instantly fucking regret. I mean, you did that, and now you're taking down videos left and right, meaning that you're shutting down free speech, which is even ironic coming from the Young Bucks because they're supposedly conservative. It's just a shit show. And trust me, it gets even worse. You look at fucking Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. They're making memes out of that too. That was one of your more featured matches. They're making memes out of the Danielson and fucking Will Ospreay match. No one... You killed that match too because you had him go out there and cut that stupid shoot promo on Triple H. And look, now all this is overshadowing Samoa Joe and fucking Swerve. Now you're overshadowing Swerve and Samoa Joe. You're overshadowing it with all the bullshit that's been going on in this company. No one is even talking about that match in general. What the other two matches people are making memes out of. This match right here, because of the memes, because of the stuff going on in the company, no one is even talking about that match at all. Period. Point blank. It doesn't even exist. And don't even get me started on everything else on the undercard. And then look at everybody else. People have completely forgotten about the fact that Kazuchika Okada, he's even there. Mercedes Moné has done nothing to your audience. CM Punk made more of an impact on your overall rating than Mercedes Moné did, and he doesn't even work for the company. What the fuck does that tell you, bruh? Oh, I'm sorry, bruv. What does that tell you? It didn't have to be this way, bruh. It didn't have to be this way. All you had to do was just focus on your own company. All you had to do was be a legitimate alternative and actually, do everything you can versus what WWE is doing and actually going after that target audience. Because I still think to this very day that WWE is just a broad swath of whatever demographic, because like I said, they're such a huge fucking company. They can afford to go after every single demographic without wholeheartedly focusing on one. AEW's job was to actually fit that niche. Yes, WWE is aiming at the 18 to 49 demographic, but they're also aiming at other demographics, right? So they can't fully put their outright focus on the 18 to 49 demographic. That was for AEW to take and then abuse. And the 18 to 49 demographic for them is just being cringe. Their 18 to 49 demographic, as far as what they want to focus on, is the 18 to 49 SJW, fucking tip my hat to you, madame, male demographic. Your 18 to 49 demographic is fucking wrestling otaku. The 1849 demographic that you should have focused on, which would have still kept the attention of a guy like a wrestling otaku, is the college kids. That's what people wanted to see. That's what would have made your company cool. The 18 to 49 male demographic is what's going to bring in kids regardless, because I can tell you, as a fucking 8 to 10 year old or 11 year old, whatever, when the Attitude Era was going on, I can sit here and tell you that I got into the company, I guess technically during the late New Generation era, but my point being is, when I started to become a wrestling fan and I started to watch it every single week, that was during the height of the Attitude Era, as far as when I came in watching it on a week in and week out basis. And I was like fucking, 9, 10 years old or whatever the hell I was? That's what I was at the time, when I was actually starting to come through and watch it on a week in and week out basis. That's all you had to do was just fit that mold, and everybody was going to come, but you played it safe, and you felt like the only way you can actually get people's attention was siphoning off of WWE, whether it's taking their sloppy seconds, whether it's going out there and having to abuse their name because no one is talking shit about you. I mean, you're way worse than TNA, you're way worse than WCW. Almost every fucking week you're doing something WWE affiliated, almost every fucking week, whether it's using their sloppy seconds or whether it's having their dick all up inside your mouth. It's insanity. And now you're in the position now where you're cringe. You're absolute fucking cringe. If anyone were to go out of their way to talk about AEW and they're a casual wrestling fan, they say, what the fuck is an AEW? And for the people who do know what AEW is, they go, oh, you mean that company who's like going up against WWE? Or, oh, yeah, I know what AEW is. That's where Edge went, right? Who, by the way, his name is Adam Copeland. Oh, yeah, AEW. That's, CM Punk wrestles there, right? Even though he's in WWE right now, currently, at the moment. Oh, yeah. I remember AEW. Didn't Undertaker wrestle there? No, he's with WWE. Because you're thinking of WWE and you're not thinking of AEW. And then when you come online, for the people who do know notice what I said. When you jump online and you talk to people about AEW, people just talk about it in the most joking way because it's a joke of a company right now. And you've now reached that status of Bud Light where no one takes you seriously, and you completely, absolutely put the nail in the coffin for all of that after that little fucking stunt you pulled last Wednesday with the footage. That was the death knell right there. That was the done data. And that's coinciding with Triple H and what he's currently doing in WWE. It's not to say what Triple H is doing in WWE, it's all right. But in the internet age, when everybody in the internet has a certain sector as far as what they want to see in their professional wrestling, right? And right now, all of the momentum is firmly on the side of WWE. It always was, don't get it twisted. But I always felt the moral consensus was that people liked AEW more than WWE. But now that Vince is gone, and now that all this shit that happened in WrestleMania is now starting to move forward, you've lost that war. Even the internet nerds, even the hardcore internet nerds, they're siding with WWE more than AEW after the shit you pulled on Wednesday. And your image is tarnished. No one gives a shit. As a matter of fact, the main reason why I'm finna actually review Dynasty on Sunday is because I don't think anyone actually is I can tell you right now, it's probably live, at least directly after the show. I bet my life. In the 1,000 view range, you're probably gonna get like maybe, including myself, live directly after the show. I bet you it'll probably be maybe a dozen people who will have reviews up about AEW Dynasty. At most, I'll say 20. Who will have, and I'm being generous, videos that people actually want to see, opinion-wise, whether it's live or whether it's like directly after the show. And by directly, I mean at least within a 3-hour gap of the show. It's not going to be a lot of people who are going to watch Dynasty. A lot of people are going to review Dynasty. And for the ones who do want to see reviews on Dynasty, I'll be there. But notice, you go on WrestleMania and you got hundreds, maybe even thousands of people talking about a match, talking about the entire show, uploading shorts, going on social media, and they're doing stuff as far as content is considered. All throughout the entire fucking weekend, probably tens of thousands, honestly. And here we are with Dynasty and no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. To even say that you like AEW right now, it's embarrassing. People look at that company like it's a fucking pariah now. And they've done it to themselves. And they have no one to blame but themselves. It's a damn shame too. All they had to do was one job. Focus on themselves. And they couldn't do it. One man thought that his vision of professional wrestling was going to change the entire industry. He realized that it wasn't. He realized that it failed. So what do? You milk how much you could from the competitor who's the benchmark of the entire industry. And you get overzealous about it and you end up dying. You die tragically. A story as old as WCW. It seems like no one's going to get it anytime soon. I'll be back later on tonight for the Armageddon 99 review. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces, P. Ice. Damn shame. Damn shame.